Hello everybody, welcome again to another fantastic episode of Dinner at Jills. Down on a beach overlooking the Mornington Penninsular and the Port Phillip Bay. As you can see, it's a fantastic, beautiful evening. We just had a magnificent sunset. So off we go to the barbecue, and if you want to come with me, I'll show you exactly what we're having for dinner tonight. Okay, so we're just going to quickly slice up some potatoes, and as you can see, I'm only cutting these around about 1 centimetre thick. And we're going to grill these on the barbecue, and we're going to put some olive oil, salt and pepper, and maybe a pinch of dry herbs on there, and they're going to taste absolutely olive oil. Throw on the spuds. Generous twist of freshly ground sea salt. Generous twist of freshly ground pepper. And what we're going to do is just a little sprinkling of dry softened butter here. This is room temperature. I'm just going to take off a nice lump of that. And what I've got is a corn cob here, but I didn't bring any aluminium foil with me this time. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use a neat trick to cook this on the barbecue without actually wrapping it in foil. So I'm just going to leave the skin on, and I'm just going to rub it with plenty of butter. And all this butter will seep through the skin and round all the rest of the corn inside the actual the hull or the skin. I'm going to stick that aside. And we'll just give that a little, wipe my hands first. We'll give it a little twist of pepper just on the top there. I don't think I'm going to put any salt on this actually, because corn is nice and sweet, so if you put too much salt on things as well, they can become a little bit bitter. And then what I'm going to do is, I've got a paper bag here which I've had some mushrooms in, and I'll show you what I'll do with the mushrooms later. But I'm going to use this paper bag as a protective coating, as well as the natural leaves around the corn. And I'm just going to wrap that up nice and tight in the paper bag. Now that will protect the corn from burning on the barbecue, but the bag itself won't burn, because I'm just going to stick this straight onto the flat plate, not onto the open grill, whereas the open grill has exposure to flames and it will catch the bag on fire. But if you put it on the flat top grill, this should protect the corn just enough, and it'll be lovely steamed. We're going to prepare our capsicum now, and what we're going to do is we're just going to roast this gently on the barbecue along with all the other vegetables. And what I do, as usual, cut the capsicum straight in half, pinch out that little green piece and scoop out the seeds and just give it a tap. And we want to cut this down into relatively bite-sized pieces, because there's nothing worse than having something which is bigger than your mouth and trying to squeeze it in with a fork and getting you know, juices all over your face and things like that. It's a little bit. Okay, so I've just got some massive chicken breasts here as well. I'm just going to slice open the packet. But what I'm going to do, I'm not going to throw away the tray, because I'm actually going to be a little bit clever here and use the tray as my little marinating dish. So what I'll do is I'll just pull out the little absorption bags there, and we'll get rid of that. So this tray is nice and lovely. And what I'm going to put in with this chicken is some lovely fresh garlic. I think I'll use 2 cloves, because we like our garlic. And I've also got this amazing tube of already pre-prepared, chopped up and pulped up parsley. Unfortunately, I couldn't get parsley at the shop today. So I'm going to squeeze a big dollop of that in there. And these are a wonderful little piece of kit as well, because you can store these in the fridge. They'll last up to over a week sometimes. Okay, bang the garlic down and just quickly peel it. And we're going to chop this up, well, not too fine, but just fine enough. Because don't forget, if you chop this too small when you're cooking on the barbecue, then it's going to go black very quickly, which then makes it go bitter. Alright, so I'm just going to quickly chop down our garlic, and there goes our horrible little stalky end, straight into the bin. And the same there with that one. And we're going to sort of marinate these up, and just let them marinate for about 5 minutes or so, not too long, but just long enough so the meat really takes on that wonderful flavour that we're trying to achieve by doing this particular dish. Now this dish is called Gremolata Chicken. Gremolata is typically Italian, and it is normally a seasoning which is used for ossobuco, which is like a braised veal shank, but we're going to use it to put flavour into our chicken for grilling. So we're just going to sprinkle that on, nice and rustic. And Gremolata normally is just freshly chopped parsley, really finely shredded lemon zest, because I've got these wonderful lemons again from Jill's tree in the garden. and a little bit of olive oil and plenty of garlic. So we're just going to take all this wonderful zest of these lemons, again using my wonderful microplane, because you really get a wonderful zest off this. And then also what I'm going to do is put a splash of olive oil in there, and then just a little bit of lemon juice and plenty of cracked black pepper. I think I'll probably not put any extra salt in with this one either, because we really want the citrus flavours to come through without it being overly salty. Okay, I think that's enough zest. What we'll do now is we'll just cut our lemon, and as you see the way I cut it into cheeks. And this, you get a lot more juice out of your lemon when you cut your lemons on the way I've cut these like this. I call these lemon cheeks, but you do get a lot more juice out of these than other than just cutting them straight in half and then trying to squeeze the hell out of it to try and get the juice out. As you can see, look at all that juice just coming out there, and I'm hardly using any effort at all with this whilst I'm squeezing this lemon. So I'll probably use the juice of both lemons. And when you get to the end bit, you just put your hand over the top just to catch any seeds out, because this is the central piece, or the piece with all the pips in the core, and we don't want them on our chicken when we're grilling it. Not that they'll hurt you, but it's just unpleasant if you get one in your mouth and you bite into it. Alright, awesome. So the second lemon, again into the cheeks, squeeze all that juice, and I think I'll just use the cheeks there and leave that other core piece out, because I think that's just enough lemon juice there. Give my hands a wipe, and then I'm going to put a splash of olive oil on here, and as I said, plenty of cracked pepper. And then what I'm going to do, I'm just going to rub all this in gently, and then just let it sit for about 5 or 10 minutes. So don't be shy, get your hands in there, give it a real good rub. Massage all them flavours straight into the flesh of the chicken, and this is going to be sure tasty. Okay, so I've got these wonderful, slightly larger button mushrooms here in a bowl, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave these whole. I'm going to give them a nice drizzle of olive oil on here, a bit of salt, and again some more of our wonderful black pepper. And I'm going to cook these whole on the barbecue, but I'm going to garlic flavour these as well. So I've got, again, just a couple of cloves of garlic, and again, like I did with the chicken, I'm not going to cut these really fine and small, because otherwise they will start to go black on the barbecue and then become very bitter. So what I'm going to do is just chop these up a little bit. I'll give them a little rub around, and then I'm going to whack them straight on the barbecue with the rest of the vegetables. And these are going to taste awesome. So I think that's enough. Get them in there. And we just give them a little swish around. And the idea of putting the oil in first as well is just to allow the oil to soak a little bit into the mushroom. And what that actually does, it does retain a little bit of the moisture in the mushroom, so it means they won't dry out quickly when you're cooking them on an open grill. Okay, so I'm off to the barbecue to whack these on now, and then I'm going to prepare them. And as you can see, here are our vegetables all together cooking on the flat side of the grill, and they're coming along just fine. So I'm just going to turn the heat up a little bit on these and then close the lid just to make sure that they're cooked thoroughly on all the way through. And these are going to be really delicious. Okay, so we're on to our salad, and I've just bought some lovely mesclun lettuce here. I'm not going to use all of this though, but I will take a generous handful out. And mesclun is just like baby leaves and a mixture of a variety of all different types of lettuces. So you've got red coral lettuce in there, green coral, you'll have a bit of rocket, radicchio, and all different types. So we're going to probably use about just Lebanese cucumber. So I'm just going to split that down the length again. And I'm just going to take the butt of the cucumber off, and we don't eat that bit, so I'll just discard of that. Now we're going to chop this again into bite-sized chunks, because you don't want massive pieces of salad to try and fit in your gob when you're eating. It's a little bit unpleasant if you have to do that. So discard of the top. We're just going to pop all of them in there. Now these are actually baby Roma tomatoes. I've actually pre-washed these as well, and it's always good to wash your vegetables in advance. And that way then you can ensure that they're all clean. And a lot of things as well that you get from the supermarket these days are ready washed, but then Don't be 100% faithful in that, because sometimes you will find the odd little bit of grit or maybe even a caterpillar, because it's happened to me a few times. So what I'm going to do with these wonderful grape tomatoes, I'm just going to slice them in half lengthwise across the butt of the tomato. Normally we would remove these if they were a larger tomato, but these little bits on here are quite edible, so just leave them on. Otherwise you'll spend a lot of time fiddling around with a small paring knife. So we'll just pop them in with our salad and cucumber. I'm going to see the ringlets going this way. This is what I call the grain of the onion. So I'm going to slice these against the grain, and we get this really fine, like julienne or matchstick cut. So I'm going to slice this, and as you can see, I am a trained professional, so please don't try this at home. And it's always very important when you are slicing vegetables and salad items that you use a very sharp knife. And the reason why is because you're more likely to cut yourself using a blunt knife than what you would do if you're using a sharp knife. Okay, so that's enough. And what we're going to do is we're just going to sprinkle that into our salad, and then we're going to give that a little bit of a toss, and then I'll dress it a la minute at the end, because if you dress a salad too early, what happens is that all the leaves will start to wilt and sort of decompose in the salad bowl. And you can tell when a salad's been dressed early, because that's how it arrives on your plate in a restaurant. So I always dress the salad a la minute or at the last minute, just so the vegetables stay nice, crisp, and then you still get all those wonderful flavours. Okay, as you can see, I've just turned these over and you get these wonderful, lovely scorch marks on the chicken there. So I'm just going to give these a little bit more black pepper. And these are really coming on a treat. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to probably slice this up when it's cooked, just so it's nice and easy for everybody to eat. And as I'm having a little squeeze on the grill, I'm just feeling the corn, and that's starting to feel lovely and tender inside that paper bag there. So I think a few more minutes and we'll be almost ready to eat. I've been to the barbecue and I've just pulled off our lovely corn on the cob, which is still in the paper bag there, and I pulled off our lovely chicken. Now you have to be careful when you're cooking chicken, especially chicken breast, because it can dry out really quickly. So the best way to test is just to give it a little prod like that, and if it's slightly bouncy, then that means it's just perfect. So what I'm going to do to serve this, I'm just going to take some nice slices of the chicken breast, but be careful when you do this as well, because yes, it is. So I'm just going to peel off them outer leaves, peel it back just like a banana, and while you're doing that as well, try and drag all the strings of the corn with it as well. As you can see there, I'm just going to take off that end, pop them leaves away, and I'm just going to take off the bad end as well, because you always get a little bit of a bad end on corn. And I'm going to cut this down. And this is just cooked just perfectly. I'm going to take some lovely olive oil. I'm going to use this wonderful Cobram Estate red wine vinegar. So I'm just going to give that a light sprinkle, and then a good twist of cracked black pepper, and a good twist of sea salt. And then we're just going to lightly toss that around in the bowl. This has been dinner at Jills, and another tasty, tasty Chef Karl treat. Bon appetit.